Hello and welcome back to Movie Mike's Movie Podcast. I am in my tuxedo hoodie. Let's talk about the Oscars last night. Biggest surprise was that Anora swept. Didn't really see that coming. I didn't feel confident in one movie to dominate. I thought it was going to be more scattered all over the place. If I had to pick a heavy hitter going into the night, I thought it was going to be The Brutalist. But the way the Academy voted, I feel was a little bit more progressive this year. Sometimes they just go with the movie like The Brutalist because of what the movie stands for and all those things that they look for in a movie. I just thought that the momentum that Anora had from the fans wasn't going to carry over into the voting. I was wrong. It dominated. The other surprising thing to me is I did not realize Sean Baker, the director of Anora, was that much of a charismatic person. And I think it's because a lot of his movies are so sad and they have a very gloomy demeanor. It's hard to see him up there accepting awards being so joyful. And I was like, oh man, I started rooting for him. Like to see him win for Best Director from Quentin Tarantino, one of the best directors of all time. I have to imagine that was an awesome moment for him, for anybody. Like seeing Mikey Madison after taking a picture with a glass of champagne and her Oscar, that is such a cool feeling. So I don't have any connection to these people, but I think that's why I love the Oscars. It's because it's so hard to win an Oscar. Out of all the award shows, winning an Oscar is like winning the MVP in the Super Bowl. Like a lot of people have Super Bowl rings, but to get that MVP, that's given out once a year. So to win the Oscar for Best Actor or Best Actress, that is given out to one person. I was happy for everybody involved in Anora, but let's talk about my predictions, how well I did. I was kind of scattered all over the place. Hour one, I went perfect. But I put so much of my eggs in the Brutalist basket because that's how I thought the Academy was going to vote. Initially, I had The Substance winning for Best Picture. Anora took it home. It won 5 of its 6 categories. Dominant. And I think for me, I wanted The Substance to win so bad. I still love that movie. I had a tier of movies in this voting period that I really enjoyed The Brutalist. And I got behind that one more because that's how I thought the Academy would vote. I love The Substance. The 2 movies I feel from the category of Best Picture that are going to go on and have a big life that people are going to actually come back to, and some might even call their favorite movies, is going to be The Substance and Anora. Now, The Substance had a lot just against it is because the Academy just doesn't vote for horror movies. So just for it to get nominated was an honor in itself. Really hard for it to win. And I think at the end of the day, that is what held it back from winning. So justice for horror movies, justice for Demi Moore. That is one I got wrong. Best Actor, I said there was no contest there. It was going to be Adrien Brody. If you look at everybody else here, they all did great performances. No, they all did good performances. He did a great performance. I feel as a whole, the Best Actor in a leading role was pretty weak this year. There wasn't one person who totally dominated a role, aside from Adrien Brody, that I thought deserved it. Even the clips they played of Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan throughout the show, that made me enjoy that character less. When I watched the movie, I thought he did a pretty good job. I said there were moments where you could tell it was Timothée Chalamet, and that bled through a lot and kind of broke the illusion that he became Bob Dylan. But the clips they played, I was like, oh man, could they not have picked better clips isolated? He didn't seem as strong in that performance, but I love how passionate he was about that and stressing that he spent 5 years of his life doing that. So he'll get there again. I think a biopic, you don't want to win it with a biopic. You want to win it with just like your performance, your own interpretation of a character. He's going to get there someday. Not here. Went to Adrien Brody. I said that was easy. Best Actress, again, my heart wanted The Substance to win more. I wanted Demi Moore to have that moment. She got it at the Golden Globes. But I could just imagine her getting up there, accepting that award after a career of not winning any awards, being told she was just a popcorn actress, which she still got her bag, but still to have an award to really put a stamp on your career. I wanted that for her. But for Mikey Madison being as young as she is, not even having that many leading roles, for this to be her Oscar win, her first for Best Actress, that's amazing. And you can't help but root for her. You can't really help but root for everybody behind Honora. So wasn't my pick, but I was really felt good about her winning as opposed to Best Actor. The Best Actress category was stacked. Everybody had amazing performances in that category. That was tough. I wish they did. I know no award shows do this, but if I could see some numbers, see the tallies of how many votes that one actor had over the other, I would like to see how close that was. Much like they do for the president, show us the percentages. And I know a lot of people were complaining about how long the speeches were. Adrian Brody's was very long. He had the world's record for longest award show speech at the Oscars. 5.5 minutes is what I believe. I would say if they want to move the show along, if they want to make this a little bit more like sports, make the entire show move a little bit faster, because show started an hour earlier than it usually did. Still went pretty long. Started here Central Time at 6, didn't end till about 9:45. That's a long show. If they really want to move it along, what if they put a shot clock up there? What if they put a play clock where once you get up there, the first word you say, that clock starts, you get 45 seconds for, I'd say, anybody in a technical award, which, no disrespect to them, it is cool to see those people actually be celebrated, the people who are behind the scenes so much, get a chance to go up there and accept their awards. But also, you have to move things along. You have to make the show a little bit more entertaining. You also have to make the show quicker. Like 6 to 9 would have been great, but they kept going and going. Whenever it got to about that last hour, I'm like, there's no way they're going to get all these awards in. Get the person up there. Technical awards, you get 45 seconds. The big awards at the end of the night, I would say the big five, you get 1.5 minutes. First word you say, that clock starts, and then if you don't get it in time, you get a penalty. If you get a penalty, if your movie keeps getting penalties, then whoever is behind you in votes, they suddenly get a shot. And if they can get up there, get their speech out faster than you can, get it in before that play clock expires, they win the Oscar. I know this would take away from the artistry of the Oscars, but it would make the show more entertaining. It would get people up there and get through their speeches quicker. But just my idea to make it a little bit more entertaining, but take away from the value of the art. But I was glad to see Mikey win for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. I got that one right. Kieran Culkin, he was the standout here to me. I believe he is now halfway to an EGOT. I loved his speech. He is very Kieran Culkin in all of his speeches, much like his character in A Real Pain. I feel like he is that a little bit off camera, but him telling his wife and not bringing it up until that moment, like, hey, said if I won an Oscar, we could have another kid. So hopefully they have that fourth kid if they're up for it. Best Actress in a Supporting Role, I got that one right. Zoe Saldana. I feel this category was probably the easiest to pick, just because the only person who came close to Zoe, I don't think anybody came close there. No, yeah, that one was really easy. That was her first time being nominated. She was very emotional in her speech, to the point that I realized, oh, I can tell why she is an actor, because she got up there and poured her soul out. Went pretty hard on that. That was pretty much Amelia Perez's only win. They also won for song, but for being nominated the most, only taking home a couple of awards during the big show. That's what I said, man. Just because you get the most nominations doesn't mean you're going to get up there and dominate. You just probably have campaigned the most, which I think that movie was all campaign, and not a great campaign, because you have your main person at the award show and it feels kind of awkward. But I feel of all the movies nominated for Best Picture, that is one that's just going to kind of be forgotten about down the line. So it just feels like a campaign run for that one. For Best Director, I had Coralie Farjah for The Substance. Got that one wrong. I was really just pulling for The Substance in all these categories. But it went to Sean Baker for Anora. He got up there, accepted that award from Quentin Tarantino. Huge for him. To see him win his first Oscar of the night and then keep going up there time and time again, all the way leading up to Best Picture, I imagine he partied pretty hard last night. because he's a really innovative director. He has made movies for, I believe they made a Nora for $8 million. So that kind of shows you that just have that vision, you have that passion for filmmaking, you can go on to win an Oscar. Like, giving me some inspiration there. I think that is what inspired me the most of how passionate he was about independent filmmaking. Best cinematography, I got that one wrong. I thought Nosferatu would win for that. I thought they would win something, but I think they went home empty-handed. The Brutalist won for that. And I thought the cinematography in The Brutalist was good, but I guess it was those shots, like the upside down Statue of Liberty shot, the one shot that was used a lot in the promotional material with Adrian Brody and the sparks and him looking into it. That was a great image. The craziest thing about that scene, that wasn't even like a big part of the movie. It was kind of just this thing of him passing by very early on in the film, and that was like their one shot. An amazing shot. I honestly think that shot and the Statue of Liberty shot won him that Oscar. For Best International Film, I thought Emilia Perez would get this just because I knew they were nominated for a lot, and I didn't think they were going to win too many awards. They weren't going to win the big ones. I thought this would be the one. They were like, okay, we'll give them this award. We won't give them anything else. I'm Still Here won, and it should have won. That movie was so powerful. I'm still thinking about that movie. For a minute after it won International Film, I thought it had the potential to win for Best Picture. If you have not seen it and you're hesitant about international movies, which I am glad that they're now called international films and not just foreign language films, because when you think about it, our films to any other country would be a quote-unquote foreign language film, which we don't really label our movies that when we ship them out. Hey, here's some superhero movies. Here are all the Marvel movies. Here's the Fast and the Furious movies. To you, they're foreign language films. I mean, a lot of the times they translate them into other languages. But I like international film. That feels a little bit less like I could convince somebody who is against watching movies with subtitles a chance to watch a movie that you probably would not have watched otherwise. But I'm Still Here, based on a true story, takes place in Brazil. I really enjoyed that movie. If there's one movie you missed from the Best Picture category, definitely check that one out. Best Animated Feature, got that one right, Flow. Wild that that movie is an hour and a half and no words are spoken. It's all about the journey of a cat. It's kind of like Homeward Bound, but animated in a really beautiful way. Although, when you put it up next to The Wild Robot, that animation looks really similar. But the filmmakers behind that were really cool. They were really excited to win that. The first one for their country. That is a tough category because the other two animated movies that I feel like had a shot, Wild Robot and Inside Out 2, I almost feel their financial success at the box office holds them back a little bit. Because Wild Robot was really good. Inside Out 2 is really good. And I almost feel like those movies that have the box office success get nominated just as like, here you go. But good for Flow. Best Original Song, I mentioned that one earlier. Emilia Perez did win for that. I didn't want that song to win. A musical with all bad songs, and that one wins. I was hoping Sing Sing would win for something last night, but they did not win there. Got that one wrong. Best Original Score. I was surprised Conclave didn't win. The score in Conclave drove that movie. Out of all the movies nominated, Conclave, Emilia Perez, The Brutalist, The Wild Robot, and Wicked, it was the Conclave score that stuck out to me, that menacing, just driving music that made that movie at times feel like a horror movie. You took a movie just about people voting on things and putting pieces of paper and voting on who's going to be the Pope. It was that music, that score, that made everything seem more impactful and made it seem like, oh, something serious is happening here when it was just a bunch of dudes voting. But that went to The Brutalist. Thinking back on that score, I mean, I was more infatuated with the cinematography than the score. Best makeup, I got that one right. The Substance. How could you not give it to The Substance for best makeup? That was what that movie just built up to all throughout. Just, man, not even just the accomplishment of the makeup used, but also the actors to have to go through that. I'm glad they didn't go home empty-handed. I guess some of these were a little bit easier to guess, but best costume design, got that right too with Wicked. Best visual effects, I got that one right with Dune Part 2. Best adapted screenplay, I wanted Sing Sing to win something, so got that one wrong. It went to Conclave. Best original screenplay, man, I wanted Jesse Eisenberg to win. I saw him sitting there behind Kieran Culkin. I feel like this whole award show run, he's just been like, I want to win. I put a lot of my heart and soul into writing this movie. I just wanted that for him. That whole movie was all in the writing, the performances too, but I just feel like that was the heart and soul of this movie. And I could almost see the disappointment in his face when he didn't win. So I felt bad for him there. I wanted him to win so bad, but it went to Honora. Diane Warren continued her streak of not winning an Oscar. 16 consecutive losses. That was another big surprise of the night. Overall, I thought the award show was pretty subpar, and I love the Oscars. It just felt like there was never any momentum aside from the very first opening number with Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo doing the Wicked songs. Like, that was the most, like, okay, we're here. This show is going to be awesome. I thought Conan was all right. Like, if I had to give Conan a score, I would probably overall give him a 3 out of 5. He had some good jokes here and there, but I feel like some of the bits, like the whole song about him not wasting time, I didn't think that was funny. His best bit came from his interaction with Adam Sandler in the crowd, and I like Conan. I think he's one of the funniest people, especially on his podcast, but I almost feel like he wasn't right for that job. Like, it's almost a little bit too big for him. Not that he hasn't handled stuff like that before. I mean, he had a friggin' late night talk show. He is a larger than life personality. I just feel it's hard to look good while hosting an award show. So I kind of wanted him to switch it up a little bit, but I felt like everything he did was a little bit safe. It was kind of exactly what I thought it was going to be. I did like the Nick Offerman voiceover. They had a little bit together. I thought that was good. Overall, his opening monologue was just very long. A lot of decent jokes in there. I think his better jokes came later in the night. But overall, I just didn't think it made the show a whole lot more fun. So overall, the show was all right. It's just hard when you don't have musical performances in an award show. Like, if I was behind that show, I would just do a celebration of music and movies. And not just your traditional movies that you would expect. There was a moment I was like, you know what? Would it be great here? A little Shrek number. Because they started talking about other impactful movies. You have people from historic movies coming out. Like, why not honor movies like Shrek? Like, you have somebody come and cover Smash Mouth. You have somebody come out and cover Counting Crows. If you're not going to get people in with movies that a lot of people have watched, because I think if you look at the category here, a lot of people haven't seen these movies. General public has not seen The Substance, probably hasn't even heard of it. You have to bring in movies that people do know of. Shrek. It just announced that it's getting Shrek 5. Why not throw a tribute to Shrek in there? A tribute to Forrest Gump. Music from other important movies, not just to the Oscars, but to pop culture. I think that would have a little bit more weight. Get some people in. Bring some artists in that people care about. Bring in some older legacy acts to do songs from old movies. Like, I think that would be great. And unfortunately, that would mean you'd have to take out some of the categories, which I think we're kind of at that point. And I love all these categories. I love seeing these people being celebrated that don't normally get celebrated. But I also realize it is a business. It is an award show. And if you're not getting people to watch it, then you don't have a product here. So again, we start the play clock. If you can't get it in time, next movie up, get the chance to get in time. They win the Oscar. And then we just got to make the stuff in between a little bit better, because I don't think you can rely on the comedy anymore. If you have Conan, one of the funniest people in America, not really able to make the show much funnier because the whole format of an award show is so old, dated, and stale, you got to bring in more musical acts. So that is my Oscar recap. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And until next time, go out and watch good movies, and I will talk to you later.